welcome to another episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast. We are going to get right to it with the Pocket Jedi himself, Mike Kenobi. Mike Roberts is back, and we're going to, Mike is a director, a writer, an artist, but what he is also is one of the best people to talk about Star Wars with, and that's dating back to our earliest Last Jedi analysis and before that. And so, Mike, welcome back. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be back. I hear other shows and wish I was there. I'm jealous of when I hear like funny banter and stuff. I get jealous enough.
Well, we
love having you.
It's so glad to see you. And you're one of the, there's a few guests that have been coming back every, multiple times every year since it started. We're deep into year 4 now, and it's great that you're still talking to us. and we still are the hardest of Dallas and Robo fans.
Great, I appreciate that.
So, all right, Mike, let's get to it. Tee it up for us. Obi-Wan Kenobi, or Kenobi, depending on how people were marketing it, premiered on Disney Plus. First 2 episodes. We got a nice little clip recap at the beginning. They're dropped 10 years later into Obi-Wan Kenobi's life on Tatooine. What's your take so far?
Well, wait, I want to hear what you guys think too. But the first thing I was going to say is this is the first time I went, scenes from the prequels. Oh, cool. Like when I watched that recap, I was like, they did it. I care about them now.
But I think that was
You're like,
achieved.
why couldn't that recap just be the movies?
Yeah,
they did a great job.
When you sum it up, it's a great. That's a killer scene.
Great story.
That was achieved for 2 reasons. Number one, the Clone Wars really made all of the themes in those movies so much more consequential. Mm-hmm. Anakin's turn to the dark side is so much more detailed and so much more nuanced, and the breaking of all of his relationships and his faith in the Jedi that's just rushed. But also, I think there are a lot of people who, isn't there that famous edit, the Phantom Edit, which is a re-edit of the Phantom Menace, which takes out Jar Jar Binks and eliminates all of the weird accents and just has them all be aliens.
Oh, that's funny. If you didn't gurgle the alien talk instead of the racist car salesman.
Exactly. and so I do think there must be a way to re-edit those movies and make them better.
Yeah, there's movies in those for sure. There's not the problem with those movies aren't it's like you go it's like you're going. You ever hear the Patton Oswalt joke about someone explaining to him what the prequels are going to be on the street before they come out, and he goes from being excited to really upset?
No.
In the prequels, we're going to learn how Darth Vader becomes Darth Vader. He's like, oh, great, awesome, yeah. We're going to start, and he's 7, and you're like, wait, what? Because you're picturing Gus, essentially that last trilogy, right? Like a teenager.
Right.
They're like, we're going to see him have fun as a kid. You're like, wait, that's sort of that's why I like that joke of his, because it's they focus on the wrong stuff. It's not bad that there's a trade federation blockade, but can't we just say that that's up there in the sky and focus on the cool stuff? I'm sure there was a trade blockade in the sky in A New Hope,
there and they did, and especially the Obi-Wan part, which has what many argue is the greatest lightsaber battle, and in all of the Duel of Fates is maybe the best one, and then maybe the other best one is Anakin and Obi-Wan's
sure,
are probably second to last lightsaber fight. We thought it was the last, and now it's probably the second to last.
One of the things that I noticed about this, especially now seeing, because they're being careful about with Obi-Wan, is when you rewatch those things, they kind of superpowered the Jedi. So now when they're fighting,
the prequels, they can flip and
do all this crazy stuff, right? So when someone gets cut in half, you're like, why didn't they do that at the beginning? What? If you're someone who can do all that and then you get chopped in half, it just seems
exactly.
But it looks like Darth Vader's going to cut Obi-Wan in half. He goes for that line drive slice, and then Obi-Wan evaporates.
Yeah, but he knew that was the plan.
Right, but it's not like Darth Vader wasn't trying to slice him in half. He was.
Oh, I love it. What I mean to say is if you can go toe to toe for 7 minutes, I feel like I'm just saying, like, if I'm being really critical.
Why wouldn't you just
also,
slice
like,
the guy
if you
in
can,
half? Okay.
and also if you could stop stuff with the Force, couldn't you like matrix those lightsaber?
They've never explained why you can't go ha, and then the sword goes.
Right, which they did in the first episode, right? The Jedi in the bar stops the lightsaber from cutting his shoulder, doesn't he?
No, he doesn't stop it himself.
It's stop the knife or whatever.
No, he stops
the knife from hitting.
Stops the knife. No.
She's gonna cut his shoulder, and then it like burns his shoulder.
Yeah, like you're right. What stopped him from? Yeah.
Or was it the bad Grand Wizard guy that stopped his shoulder?
It's the
bad guy.
It's the Inquisitor.
Grand
But the
Inquisitor.
point is that someone used the Force to stop a lightsaber, so it can be done.
That would be a pretty great fight if they're just going, and then they can't, like, no one can make it.
That would be a neat twist on the lightsaber fight. All right, Mike. So tell us what you thought. We'll all go around and give our reactions. But do you want us to go first, or do you want to go first?
Yeah, no. What do you think? What's better? You guys go first.
Okay, all right. So let me just start and say, like, plot details aside, Ewan McGregor is great as Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Kathleen Kennedy recently said they're not going to be recasting main characters anymore. That has nothing to do with it. Alden Ehrenreich was fine as Han Solo. The story,
that's his name.
No one, as you know, Josh, our buddy, said, like, no one wanted to watch a movie where it was like the Kessel Run, the dice, land, like every single thing happened. Like, that movie is not good. That is the problem with that movie.
Yeah.
He is beautifully cast. I think young Princess Leia is really well cast.
Yep.
And the overall feeling I get from it, without getting into the nuances of the story, is, and this is my big revelation, is that they are once again retroactively making other things better, because I am feeling more context for Luke's exile in The Last Jedi. I'm not saying that the reason for it still makes sense or that movie is good, but that Obi-Wan separates himself and pulls himself off the Force after this terrible tragedy, to me, and Obi-Wan evaporates in his death. Like, to me, there's a lot more symmetry with the Luke story than made sense before. Even
the only thing is, the Luke was still like super powered. I really actually like the idea that it's a muscle you have to flex, and like Obi-Wan's like out of practice.
Well, Luke was Luke. I guess he cut himself off the Force, but he was studying it a lot. We also don't know how strong he got before.
I agree. I don't think it's a deal breaker. I'm just wondering if that, because I'm forever upset with that movie. But like,
oh yeah, I mean, but the Luke arc, which is like, that movie was made by someone who hates Luke Skywalker, but the Luke arc is softened a little bit. The same
and
way,
loves blue breast milk.
Yeah, it's softened a little bit by seeing Obi-Wan in so much pain and having to, and the anguish he feels. I think because you know that relationship, it matters more. You don't know
that's
the reason
really
and the
strong
relationship, and you don't know the reason and the relationship why Luke cut himself off. It's sort of this thing that happens off screen with this kid, which doesn't, so that's like my overall thing. And then I just have the anxiety of like, please don't mess this up. Like, please don't.
That's always how it is.
Just no more. Like, I don't need any like weird cameos of, although the Tamora Morrison cameo of the clone as a beggar was amazing, because I think they're building towards a return of Commander Cody, who was in the Clone Wars, is Obi-Wan's
where's
clone.
Waldo of Boba Fett in this goddamn show and movie and series? Like, I can't handle it. Paul's like, oh, who's that guy? I was like, forget it. I am not. I don't even know what to tell you. He's maybe in The Mandalorian. He has his own show. He was eaten by like some sand monster. I don't know I can't tell you who that guy is. That guy's a great actor. No idea who the character is.
It's funny with Boba Fett because it's like, hey, you know how he went into the pit? He climbed out. It's like you're like, you'll never believe it. I just wish there was kind of more to that.
It's just a bit much at this point. Just sprinkle Boba Fett all over.
That was just, anyways, best left in the Sarlacc for what we got. All right, Lily, what did you think of Kenobi?
Here's the thing: it's a pleasure to watch Ewan McGregor. That's the thing. And so had it been cast by anybody else, I really probably wouldn't give a shit if they recast it. Do you know what I mean? If they didn't keep the same actor, don't care. Because well, I find myself the whole time wondering, what is the plot? What is the budget of this show? I don't really understand.
I think the budget is this big bell curve. Nothing on the first 2 episodes, and then they're gonna blow it all on a lightsaber fight between Darth Vader. And
I literally was asking if they were shooting it like in Disneyland. Like that's how some of it.
That's what I.
Or
thought.
if to save money, they just got a student to edit it. Maybe.
I don't interrupt, but I want to talk about the editing and direction because
there's these weird things that really take you out of it. Like a bunch of the American accents really bothered me.
I was like Flea though.
Oh no, Flea is untouchable.
Because Flea doesn't need makeup and he looks like he's from another.
I was literally going, I don't understand his face and I love it.
Yeah. Flea is an exception to the rule of in Star Wars, the only Americans I want to hear are Luke, Han, and Leia.
Yeah.
I don't hear any other Americans.
Yep.
Nobody else is from the United States in space.
Wait, I thought the line was good bad. Like bad people have English accents, good people.
I mean, a lot of the stormtroopers have regular sort of generic Midwestern accents. And so do the dudes with the little waiter hats that walk around updates to Darth Vader. Only the high-ranking ones are British.
It's just when you see an alien in full alien face, and they're like, "Hey man, what you doing here?" I want to hear some sort of weird Star Wars universe accent. Do you know what I mean? An alien accent. Really that. Hearing some guy be like, "Hey, what's up?" It takes me out of it a little bit, and I wonder if they just weren't as careful with that kind of stuff and. But overall, I think if you're a fan of Star Wars, if you're a fan, then of course you're going to eat this stuff up. This is just so much fun for a fan.
Yeah.
But as someone who is a fan up to a point, I want what are the stakes? Am I just watching, Obi-Wan go on an emotional journey where he figures out Darth Vader exists and then battles him again, but we know nothing's going to happen to either one of them?
Well,
they both have to be in the other movies.
Yeah, because so you're saying as a not absolute convert to Star Wars, it's fine. Is that what you mean?
It's fine. It's fine, and it's because of Ewan McGregor. To be honest,
I agree with that.
I'll watch it because of him, but there's no huge stakes. There's no we know what's going to happen. So we're watching his emotional journey, I guess.
To your point of the stakes, I was bummed that there wasn't. I think the fact that he didn't know Anakin was still alive, or he should have interacted with Darth Vader before he found out it was Anakin. Something needed to happen. It can't just be nothing.
That's
not knowing that Vader is Anakin.
I think he knows he's called Darth Vader at this point. Doesn't he know at that point that he's changed his name and gone to the Sith? He's called Darth Vader.
I'd love to have seen a shot of that. There's this maniac terrorizing everybody. It felt like directorially they were like, no, we have to save it. But that's also should have walked through the town.
They wasted it. He's just
Darth Vader's not going to.
Oh my God! In that spaceship.
But Darth Vader's not going to Tatooine, right? We know that.
He is if he thinks Obi-Wan is there. If she's after Obi-Wan in earnest, for sure he's going.
Okay, you make an interesting point. Because Darth Vader's not supposed to. The whole point of them going to Tatooine was because Darth Vader was it's the last place he would go back to, right? Because he hates sand, it's coarse, and all that stuff.
Yeah, it gets in the suit.
No, but he's Nomadland at the same time. He lives in that ship all the time. He loves it.
Wait. This is so we agree that Obi-Wan finds out that he is alive and is our Darth Vader in that moment?
Well, we don't know yet. We don't know if he knows that he's Darth Vader, I guess, right?
He's just
what was the line? What did he say? What did they say?
Anakin is alive and he's after you?
Yeah.
And I guess because the last time we saw him was.
But who? Wait, I forget the scene. Who calls him Anakin? Who says Anakin is alive?
The third sister.
The third sister.
But they wouldn't call him Anakin. They would call him Darth Vader.
Right.
Like,
Well, that's where
weird.
the ambiguity comes out. So, like,
but I'm saying
maybe
that, like,
he doesn't know it's Darth
these
Vader.
Inquisitors, like the people that know him now, in the last 10 years, they would never call him Anakin. They would only call him Darth Vader.
Unless she's a former Jedi. Unless she's a former
Shai
Jedi.
thinks she's a former Jedi, which is why she would know and use the name Anakin. It
seems that she was one of the kids in the temple. The internet
that makes sense because
which clearly that's a thing because Grogu is a kid in the temple also. So like
some survived. Okay, so then I believe it more because I think what doesn't make sense is that she would, if she's part of the Inquisitors,
she is
calling him Anakin. There has to be, no one would call him Anakin. They would call him Darth Vader.
A cursed name, I'm sure.
Exactly, like it's his Jedi name, and he's he's
that, but like
Darth
10
Vader
years, he's never heard. There's no whiff of galaxy gossip that he's heard that this.
He doesn't stay in the know. He stays very shy.
I'm okay with him not staying in the know, but I feel like he's a monster if he's not checking in on what's happening because it all affects Luke.
That's what Becky said.
Just hiding.
You were saying to me.
That's what I said. What I said is that, like, you're in hiding and you're protecting Luke.
No, she said to me on text because I was.
Okay.
No, but
Becky and I, by the way, predicted
Luke
Lily would bring up like elements of conversation that did not happen in this show that would
part of
confuse
protecting
everyone,
including
what happened on text.
Yeah, is knowing what is going on in the galaxy. Now,
he's negligent otherwise. Yeah.
My feeling is I like the story so far. wasn't too concerned with the stakes. I felt like, all right, I'm fine with this. Like the stakes are just following Obi-Wan's journey. I'm good with that. I like the premise. I love that it's Obi-Wan and Leia mashup because those are two characters we've never seen them together, and so this feels very special. To understand that there's a bond. Shai and I actually went into a whole analysis earlier talking about in A New Hope.
Her message in it,
it pays off very well.
Her message in A New Hope, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope. Like that's a very personal.
You wouldn't say that to someone you didn't know. You know?
Right. That's what we were talking about.
We all assumed it was like a legend, and now it's like it actually works great that they were like close.
Yeah. So I love all of that. And
actually, there's a scene. I just want to dig in. There's a scene when they tell her, "We've come to rescue you," and they say, "We're here with Obi-Wan Kenobi," and she's like, "Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's here." Like Carrie Fisher has that moment. There's now emotion, like that emotion is so much deeper, which is great. This is a prequel.
Like, he was in Bridge over the River Kwai. This is
but I think I'm excited to keep watching. I love Ewan McGregor. I'm in on this story. I want to get this. I'm hoping this continues in this wonderful, rich backstory of their relationship, which for me is satisfying. I think Kumail as this fake Jedi, not knowing what his story is, he kind of saves him at the end. Is he really good? Shai says he's really good. I think he's still a bit tricky. I'm excited about all that. What was holding me back, and I'm, what was holding me back in these first two episodes is that Shai, I don't want to steal Shai's. Shai frames it in a very.
Go ahead.
You framed it in a really, I think, understanding way.
I'll frame it when I want to frame it.
It felt like it was directed for TV, but that first episode or the first two episodes should have been more cinematic. And I think there's a big gap between what we expect when we go into the Star Wars universe and how it was, like the creative choices that were made, this kind of like this like clunky editing, the opening scene of the Inquisitors walking through the town, and it's just travel shot.
That problem. All the Star Wars shows.
Right. And it wasn't very smooth, trying to find nice
I completely agree with you. I mean, to me, well, sorry, wait, I don't want to start. I
support creative small budget things. Like, I don't know, what's that part where he's saving Leia and he like stops into a meth lab or something for a minute and is dressed like
really weird. It's like,
that was cool. And he's just wearing like ski goggles and a lab coat. Like, I'm okay with little budget, creative choice. Like, no, we're just gonna put ski goggles on all of them. That's fine. They have ski goggles in space.
It's just like they're big Breaking Bad fans. That's just no. I thought the exact same thing. Like, to me, the show they all it's only got 6 episodes, so I don't know what they need to make up time for. But all these shows feel like they space it out too much. Like they come up with the idea and everyone goes fuck yeah. Like, okay, here's my pitch. Like, the Mandalorian is like, oh god, really? No, I don't know. Boba Fett, sort of whatever. Baby Yoda. Ooh, I'm in. Like, that's for sure the pitch in the room, right? But in this one, I was like, surely this starts with the bar and a fracas, and then there's a Jedi in the bar. Don't show the kids get away. Have them murder the Jedi in that first scene. Don't say anything else. And then you don't know you're on Tatooine. You don't know what's going on. And then at the last minute, something happens, and it's like the knife stops, and they can't figure out why it happened. And then you go away from that and come back, and Bail Organa walks in and goes, maybe you reveal in the cave that he takes the cloak off and it's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is the first 15 minutes. And he goes, and then Bail Organa walks in and goes, Leia's gone missing. And all you're doing as the audience is like, holy shit, it's only been half an hour. We've got this, and he's in hiding, and blah, blah, blah. And now we got to go save Leia. This show's amazing. Like that's, I think, the problem is you get into the second half of the second episode before you're like, what's this about? You don't need to know any of the stuff you see.
I mean, but are you sure we don't need to know about the art of sand whale meat cutting? Because was that the same shot filmed? Was that the same shot? Twice. And they just did it?
They just reuse it.
They actually do it 3 times. They do it 3 times.
As someone who I think is having negative health consequences on my keto diet, I found it very triggering to think of a meat-based only diet. And no, I'm kidding. But no, I think the same thing. Like, but I didn't mind that he's like essentially got a job on like an assembly line. Like, I thought that was kind of a nice riff. But it was unnecessary.
Like, how did Obi-Wan pay for himself all those years living as a hermit?
Right, like questions no one's asking. Questions no one's asking.
Exactly.
Questions we don't care what the answer is to.
But I like the patheticness of it.
But it feels like it's enough plot for a movie, but they're going to drag it out into 6 episodes of a series, and therefore we need to show all the travel shots to take up enough time. It's like, this episode's coming in a little short. This episode's coming in a little short. Let's add some travel shots.
That's how it feels.
That's exactly what it feels
There's only 6 episodes, and there's that much whale meat cutting?
Yes.
I feel like they could.
Which just means like they could have just made a movie special. Like a TV special, a made-for-TV movie special.
But you're in space. You can do a lot of really cool shit instead of just like boring shots.
Well, have we talked about The Mandalorian the last time? Because like and I don't mean to make it sound like I'm doing a stand-up bit, but
do you mean The Mandalorian, or are you talking about the parking?
The parking.
Yeah,
we talked about
sure. Yeah, we have. Like, that's what I can never watch. I can never unsee that.
Yeah, and that's what this feels. There's a lot of there's a lot of jetpacks shit in the first episode.
How did you feel?
Travel shots.
How did you feel though? Fine. We're gonna get to Boba Fett in a second though, so I don't want to. Okay, all right. So all right,
you can't, because then our audience would fall asleep.
So my take on the director, Deborah Chow, is a very accomplished television director. You look at these credits: Mr. Robot, Mandalorian, Jessica Jones. This is not a schleppy director, and I do think that the way they did these first 2 episodes, if I compare it to Boba Fett had the same problem. The opening fight scene in Boba Fett, where he's like fighting those ninjas in this town square, and it looks like something out of Hercules or Xena Princess Warrior, but clearly then when you see Boba Fett ride a Rancor, which by the way that whole show was built around, wouldn't it be cool if Boba Fett rode the Rancor?
Yeah, it's totally.
We're going to spend all our money on that. And so I do think that there's more coming, but it was that the chase scene with Leia looked like it was shot on a sound stage.
Yeah, well, listen, I love Strange New Worlds, but there are shots where you can literally see that LED wall hit the studio floor. Like, you can see the joint on the ground, and it's fine. I don't even fault them for that, because that show is, as someone who hates Picard and hates Discovery pretty much across the board, Strange New Worlds is amazing. But like, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but like there's to that editing point, Lily, that you're talking about. When they see, I love that rooftop sequence if it was edited down, because she sees the gunfight in the distance, right? I thought that was super cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
no,
then
go ahead.
Runs. There's enough time for him to get off the roof, save her, go down,
it's
grab
so
her.
long, and you're like, guys,
Running.
I'm watching this. Like,
it was like Airplane.
It's edited so poorly.
Yeah, when you cut back to her and you're like, she's still running?
I was like, was it like a telescope we were watching her from? Was she on another seat? Where is she running?
It was also really like
she can like leapfrog and fly. I'm like,
there was a lot of knocking a thing down to like jump.
Right.
I was like, are you best friends with the stunt coordinator? Like, I appreciate how much work went into that, but like, cut that down. Like,
yep.
All right, let's break down some of the characters. We've got the Inquisitors, which includes the dude who played Han in Fast and the Furious as the fifth brother, which I thought was
that is the guy with the like.
That's the fifth brother, which I think is really cool because that character, which has been explored in Rebels quite a bit, that's a pretty badass character that is like very violent and brutish and lasts for a long time. And casting Sung Ho Kang in that is very, very cool. Because that's
fun, really. I almost feel like it's wasted for how little he has to do.
But there's more that can be done with that. There's a lot more that can be done with that character.
He's got an animation disc on his back. Do you notice that?
Well, you mean from Tron? Well, that's their lightsaber.
Right? Their animation disc for animation students is a circle with these like two lines through it. And every time I see it, I'm like, that's definitely designed by an animator.
The Inquisitors have these crazy spinning lightsabers.
I saw the little fan.
Oh, I thought he was just spinning it.
No. They have the Inquisitors' lightsabers are like Darth Maul's, and then they spin around.
Do you know here's the thing. You'd be like, guys, we got to make these things more dangerous. You know what I mean? Like what's the flaw that is fixing? It's like, what if I killed you and it was windy? You know, like what's the like what do they need to fix?
I mean, just someone was like, you know what would be cool? Spinning lightsaber. My rationale for why Inquisitors would have it is that Inquisitors seem to be, they're like junior Sith. And so they have the dark side of the Force. They're Force sensitive. They're Force users, but they're not that great. So they have to rely on some upgrades. And in this case, it's a spinning lightsaber.
But it's like, if you're being interrogated and they're putting the lightsaber to your forehead, you'd be like, I ain't talking. It's spinning. Okay, I'll say whatever you want. You know, like it's. I don't know. I get it. I'm not a huge fan of cool for cool's sake. I'm always looking for the reason.
It was put in the animated show, and they, okay. So there's the Grand Inquisitor, who I think the whole concept of Inquisitors is amazing. I love that.
He gets killed.
Does he get killed?
But
get a lightsaber to the stomach?
There is either another one or he's not dead
killed.
Because the Grand Inquisitor a Grand Inquisitor dies 5 years later in Rebels. Like the villain in the first season of Rebels, which takes place 5 years later in the timeline, is the Grand Inquisitor, and
he's not dead.
Well, either he's not dead, or maybe that is a rank. That's
just like a rank.
Somebody else.
Like he
dies
as a Inquisitor.
That's my favorite character too.
But I love Rupert Friend. First of all, I thought he was great. And any character where you make their teeth super spiky is automatically scary.
I like that guy a lot.
I am buying into that costuming and the makeup of his teeth. I love him. I love how he disguised his accent. Mm-hmm. I think he's a great actor. But and I was surprised he died. Like, I wish he was around a little bit more because I thought he was so great. But like, I didn't see that coming. I was like, oh wow, okay, that sucks that he's not there. But that was a big deal what you just did. Oh, I was like,
he might not be dead.
You know.
And if not him, someone else.
I mean, unless he's Wolverine, I don't see how you're regenerating.
Well, listen, they brought back the dude who got cut in half, didn't they? I mean, I feel like there's no rules for him to live. And
that is a good point.
In the third prequel, that like Anakin Skywalker is like just a nub. He's basically he's a chin. That's all that's left.
It says Rupert Friend is in 6 episodes. I'm guessing.
Okay.
Oh, he survived.
He didn't come back
I think he's great. Right.
So then I'm wondering how they're
going
to reconcile him and the third sister when she stabbed him in the stomach.
Well, I think you had. Well, they already didn't like each other. All right.
I would love a little more nuance to that relationship. By the way, I did feel like you're like, oh, now you stabbed him. You hated him 2 episodes ago. Like, it just felt a little bit.
I would. He was going to steal her thunder.
We also have to figure out, and maybe they'll reveal this, but like the Inquisitors offing people all over the galaxy. what is the deal with the Emperor kills people and Darth Vader kill people at will who work for them?
Yeah, fun.
What is preventing the Inquisitor from offing this like renegade?
Her. Right, yeah.
Right. She has some sort of juice with Darth Vader. Who does she have juice with?
Which is fine. No, I love that aspect of it. I just feel like
okay.
You know that
they just haven't established why yet, and clearly her character.
They had so much time. Look at all those travel shots. They couldn't give us one why shot. Just all.
And
also,
sorry.
Also, she's not very capable. She easily lets him get away.
Well, that's she needed to stab the Grand Inquisitor.
It flies away. I'm like, that's it. You have tons of ships. You have so many ships. All you guys have is ships. You have ships that go.
His ship is getting away. I can see the ship now. It's the only one flying away.
You have Russian dolls, millions of ships
that go in ships.
Yeah. Letting it get away is like no.
Right,
it's pretty wild, actually.
All right, what about the return of Joel Edgerton as Owen Lars? That was great.
I would love a couple more. I agree, but I would love a scene of why. He's a little pissed at Obi-Wan.
Well, he's pissed because his crazy half brother showed up when he was a kid and slaughtered all those sand people and got the mother.
Wait, who's he the brother of?
Owen Lars is Anakin's half brother.
Half brother, but also guys like
or step brother, half brother or step brother. Is
no one thinking that that's the best place to hide Luke?
It is really a retcon problem from A New Hope that they're related.
Yeah,
well, it's because they never because they had never really revealed when they started A New Hope that nobody
weren't
knew
brothers
until,
at the time.
They didn't know until Empire, or they didn't decide. Lucas didn't either decide or reveal to anyone until the end of Empire Strikes Back, until it was filmed, that Darth Vader's his father.
But also, like, you don't need it to be his brother, like, because it's like, oh,
they could just call him Uncle Owen, yeah, because it's not his real dad.
Yeah,
and
they're not related. They're not related by blood. They don't like each other.
He's hiding him from a psychomaniac in the entire Empire.
Brother-in-law.
And the Emperor. Because he might be a super Jedi. And they're like, you know what? Let's send Lance to some like random
Because it's the last place you would look.
Yeah, but surely he's like, Darth's coming over for dinner again. Hide Luke.
I just think the assumption is that if there's one group of people that he has no relationship with, it would be his own family at this point. That's who he would have cut off.
Oh, and I agree that maybe he doesn't know the kid is there. Like, yeah, I'm fine with it. As long as there is absolutely no chance he knows that Luke exists, I'm fine.
Does Darth Vader always know that his kids exist?
No, he thinks the kids have died.
He doesn't know died. He thinks so. Yeah,
the kids have died.
It's risky, but at least it's a thing. Like, you know what I mean?
He thinks the kids have died, and it isn't until Luke blows up the Death Star that Darth Vader then it's in Empire Strikes Back that Darth Vader in the crawl where they talk about how Darth Vader is now obsessed with finding Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
So that is the only point.
It's Darth calling. It's just been bugging me. You haven't heard about the kids, have you?
But it's also he's like, he knows his brother didn't have a kid, and all of a sudden he has a kid that he calls nephew. Like literally, he's not even pretending it's his child, like Leia.
No, but Anakin, but Owen Lars doesn't like Anakin the way the Dursleys don't like Harry Potter. Like, this is my crazy magic cousin, brother, whatever, step brother, who came into town, murdered a village, got my mom's dead body back. Like he's not like they don't like each other.
That an army of stormtroopers could attack at any moment, I'd be like, Ben, come over. What do you want to eat?
Right.
We've got a roommate for you.
But Lars, I think he hates the Jedis because of his.
Because he blames them for.
If Anakin was the only Jedi you knew, like teenaged angry Anakin, I think Lars is. I think Lars. But also remember, it's not. There's no kids for Darth Vader to be looking for at that point. Like they're not like she dies during childbirth. The Emperor reinforces that also because he wants him to suffer and be cut off from everything. So everybody, what the Emperor knows or not, there's a kid, I don't know, but everyone has a vested interest in him not knowing that those kids exist.
Yeah, I get all that.
Him be an angry killing machine. So hiding him on that planet isn't really like they're looking for Jedis to kill Jedis. They're not looking for Luke Skywalker.
Which is well, and that's why I would have loved to have seen at least one shot. If we're talking about like jetpack stuff, right? Like time spent. Show Owen have like a panic room lockdown sequence of what happens when a big shiny Imperial ship flies in. So it's like, okay, Luke, sorry, you're gonna go in the bucket again, and like they put the lid on it, like just something. And Ben told him there's a, I don't know, bedoodle metal that like fucking blocks the Force brain powers and all this shit. So like he's got like, they just he has a lockdown sequence. So it actually makes sense. And then you go, Ben and Owen, they don't like each other, but they work together to have a panic room. And
maybe we'll get to that. Maybe this will.
But that would have been a great opening sequence. You see Luke, and it's like, ooh, it's Luke. Ooh, this is cool. He's like having fun, and then the ship goes, and then Owen's like, go.
Do you think are we gonna get baby Luke?
He's already been seen
like it.
We saw him from far away, but I don't think he's in it. I don't think he's in it. I think
they'll run into each other at some point because Luke knows who Ben Kenobi is. He doesn't not know who he is. He's like,
right. We've already established that they know each other.
Uncle Owen calls him that old wizard. Like he's known because he hangs around.
Yeah, I get that. I think he's like that's why it's so funny in Blue Harvest, the Family Guy.
Now for my sisters, did you enjoy the return of Jimmy Smits?
Of course.
Look, there's never a bad situation.
There's never a bad Jimmy Smits situation.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So I was considering he's supposed to be the same age pretty much as he was supposed to be like 30 years ago. I was convinced they were going to recast him. And when I saw his
it had to be a Jimmy Smits.
heavily makeup face, I was like, he's looking good. And I was very excited to see him.
I have a question though. We're all concerned. I mean, like they're hiding both children, but why isn't there anyone watching out to see if Leia has the Force or is Force sensitive?
That's what I asked. Yes,
I was expecting a rad Jedi bodyguard, if we're being honest.
Because like I feel like the way
equally both be Jedis.
The way that she reads people's emotions, like with that cousin of hers, and she's able to read what they're really feeling. I feel like that seems Force sensitive to me, that you can look at someone and you can understand what they're feeling. She can sense what they're feeling and have this whole narrative around it. And she's not, but it's not his words, but it's like, isn't that what Jedis do? They like read your mind, but like read your feelings.
Well, they read your feelings.
They're exactly the same genetic makeup of their parents. There's no, it could be a major Jedi, why couldn't she?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They should both be on Jedi alert.
I think it also depends on who's watching them. Obi-Wan wanting to train Luke is not like, his mission is not to train Luke. His mission is to keep an eye on Luke.
But that's why is it any less important to keep an eye on her when dude calls? No, because Leia was sent to go live with the Organas. That's their job.
Yeah, and they are protecting her.
Down, he should have been like, let's do it. That's the only problem. It's an equal split of who's. It's exactly Lily's point.
They're not going to reveal her Force sensitivity or her. He's not going to tell her, "Oh, you have the Force now," because otherwise Leia would know that, right? And
I don't think any of that.
In terms of like the canon of the story, obviously it's male centered, and it was in the 60s and 70s, so that's the reason. But when we go back now in 2022 to look at her story,
there are tons of female Jedi.
Sense.
There are already tons of female Jedi in the prequels, and
but exactly. So it wouldn't make sense if somebody's not paying attention to see if she could be trained too.
There's no reason she's not Luke Skywalker at this point.
Exactly. That's
other than that, they are hiding her, so they're not nurturing.
They don't want to develop her Force abilities.
Obi-Wan's task was not watch Luke Skywalker and train him. It was.
But didn't he mention something to Owen about I need to see if
I need to train him.
No, but that's Obi-Wan being a rebel again. That's Obi-Wan being a rebel again, wanting to train the boy.
I'm down for that, but there's nothing that he knows. Like the lie, otherwise it's an audience lie. There's nothing that he knows that says that Luke or Leia. It's
other than that Leia's not his responsibility. He's not charged with watching Leia.
And I'm saying that's a dereliction of duty. Why did he go? He's like, look, I hate to be like this. The boys are better. That's just where we're at. That's the Star Wars universe.
Yoda decided where they were going to go. Boy, going to live. She'll be raised.
Oh, so maybe Yoda saw the future. That's a scene I would have loved to have seen.
But Yoda's the one who says the boy will go here and the girl will go to Bail Organa.
Does this mean we get some Yoda? No, because Yoda's in hiding. Where is Yoda?
No, hiding.
We might get.
He's on Dagobah.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why they wouldn't be in touch. All right, okay, we got to move on here though, and I want to hear about Mandalorian. Or Mando Boba, whatever that Boba Fett season was, which had 3 episodes or 4 episodes of Boba Fett, then 2 episodes of The Mandalorian, and then another episode of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And a lot of people really did not like that series. I'm not someone who's like super attached to Boba Fett as a character, so I just think he should have stayed dead. They essentially created his character with The Mandalorian. They gave everybody the character everybody wanted with The Mandalorian, and they made the decision that Boba had to not break bad, that he had to be a good guy.
Really weird,
just so strange, and that now he wants to guard this village. So there's all of that. But Mike, what did you?
Oswald joke again though? It's like, how he's an amazing bounty hunter. How would you like if he stayed put? Like, wait, no, wait, what?
Well,
sorry,
tired. All right. So, what did you think of that show in general, and then what did you think of the Luke Skywalker Grogu decision moment? Because that to me is one of the more interesting things that happens there, is Luke giving Grogu the ultimatum.
Well, two things. One, I know this is going to sound really weird. I cannot buy Boba Fett because his armor doesn't fit. I know that sounds stupid to say, but like the Mandalorian looks cool in every shot. They really went out of their way to kind of design it. But
you don't like Boba Fett's pantaloons.
No, it's the way his armor sits up, like his body. So the idea of the Mandalorian is he's got this indestructible armor. He doesn't even bother dodging bullets, which is a problem for me, but it's fine, right? In this one, the Boba Fett is the same thing, but his armor is like little epaulets and like a tiny little chest.
Well, it takes a lot of money and time to get a full Beskar.
Listen, he's a big fella, that dude. Whether it's and they did, and it felt like they used the original armor for nostalgia's sake. So it always looks like it's kind of just resting on his like suit. So it looks like but
he's like dressed up.
He wasn't head to toe in armor the way he wasn't head to toe the armor the way the Mandalorian is.
But it fit in Empire Strikes Back. It's fit. He's a skinny little guy. And this has like, when you get your Halloween costume and you put it on and you look in the mirror and you're like, fuck. That's what it looks like. And it's like, I never buy it. I never ever buy it. Even when, and I loved Timothy Oliphant wearing it. I was like, that's not protecting you from anything, dude.
Timothy Oliphant's character, or I guess he's not dead. He's sort of in stasis at the end.
Yeah, sure. I like that character.
That's character's great. Okay, so what'd you think?
He's the other Jimmy Smits. I'll watch him in anything.
I know. I agree.
I love me and Oliphant.
Where's the Oliphant Smits team up show? Man. Okay, so what did you think of the Luke Grogu ultimatum? I don't know. On a certain level, I think the undoing of maybe the greatest moment in the whole Mandalorian show, which is Luke coming and bringing Grogu to his destiny. Okay.
No, I really like those 2 episodes a lot. I think like the reason it suffered is this weird ultimatum thing. I don't buy the ultimatum. You can only chain if you are a kid and you pick. Like I don't buy any of that. I feel like Luke should have just been like disappointed that he wanted to leave. I think this stay or leave thing. I love the like super armor. I thought that was really sweet. I thought it was really emotional. I loved everything about it. I just wish Luke was like, see you when you're ready, not the line in the sand. I don't know what that doesn't make any sense.
Wait, so in the end, Grogu goes back to the Mandalorian?
Yeah, he chooses to go with.
He spends like a few months with Luke. Mandalorian feels sad that he misses him. He shows up.
This is in Boba Fett that we're seeing this.
And so Grogu doesn't stay and become a Jedi?
No.
What?
No,
which I really honestly think is fan service. I think that's the end of the show. And then they were like, fuck, we have to keep making these. Well, delivering him to Luke is the end of the show.
Part of it is it's true. Yeah. Part of it is that the Mandalorian, I know people freak out about the Mandalorian is not an interesting character without Grogu. There's no purpose to him.
Like I said, this is a dumb show until I saw Baby Yoda and went,
Unless, and what they could do, well, now they're going to get him involved in the whole Mandalorian fight for who's in charge. Lily, you can't wait for this, where they fight over the dark saber. You're going to love this part.
Oh my, the dark saber. I'm sorry. I'm really skeptical about the animation stuff. The dark saber again is like, you know what? There's that white part in the center. It's black now. Like it doesn't. It doesn't.
The dark saber has cool backstory in the show.
Sure.
I like the backstory.
No, I'm not trying to be a dick. I try to play devil's advocate.
No, fair enough.
Can I ask you guys, when does it jump the Marvel shark?
Yeah.
When is it just too much?
I think when they're making a show about the guy from I don't know if it'll jump the shark with this, but the next show is called Andor, and it's all about Diego Luna's character from Rogue One.
I don't
really.
That's great if it's good. The problem that all these shows have, I think, they never justify their own existence until they do. Like WandaVision justified its own existence by being so bananas for the first 3 episodes, and then totally, in my opinion, fell off a cliff at the end. But the first 3 episodes, I was like, I didn't know I wanted this. What's that?
That never made it through that show.
That's what I mean.
Wait, the other thing is that I think the other plot that they can really do with the Mandalorian is chase down the threads from the sequel. They're afraid of the sequel trilogy. Right. Sure. Under this regime. But if they actually go out and they have a subplot going on of the Emperor trying to clone himself and someone trying to stop that and get behind it, then you have much more to work with. Okay, there's a new game we created last episode, and it's called But Make It Canadian.
Wait, but I do want to hear my pitch for the.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, go for the pitch. Sorry, I thought
it's really quick. It's really quick. I love that whole scene. I actually really loved seeing young Luke. I thought they handled it well. In that scene where he shows up, it shouldn't have been Luke. It should have been this. It should have been the same. All the sequence happens, right? First of all, I defy the fact that he flies around in a fucking X-Wing fighter. It doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? It's that would be like driving an F1 car. Your car. You don't have friends, so I get that he likes his X-Wing fighter, but that's not his car. So he flies in the X-Wing fighter. Let's make a ship come in, right? A ship comes in, and you see all those dark troopers. I played that game. I thought that was all really cool. The elevator comes up, right? And you just see the back of the head. The doors open, and 3 Jedi get out. And it's the cloaks, and they're causing shit. And now it's a little more believable. It's 3 of them against the army. They just mess the place up. Just fucking destroy it, right? They get into the room, doors open, and R2-D2's there, right? You're oh, fuck, it's Luke. Cloaks come off. It's not Luke. It's fucking Kylo Ren and 2 other dudes, right? It's
wow.
A 16-year-old Kylo Ren. Maybe, I don't know, whatever.
Oh, that's pretty wild.
What we're saying is this is Luke's students in training. It doesn't matter if it's Kylo Ren, whatever. And they go, holy shit, this is amazing.
Jedi.
Teenagers. They're really young. This has clearly just happened. He found these guys 6 weeks ago, for all we know, right? They hand over Grogu and they leave. They walk back in, and R2's beep, 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 beep. The elevator door opens again. Luke's in the elevator. And then the doors close.
So
and
he's
that's
just there in case something happens. Although I really like seeing him.
Goes down, and then we don't have the murk of the fucking bad CG Luke. You don't even have to worry about it. You know what I mean? And then the ship flies out, and maybe you see the X-Wing fighter following it. No, I'll drive. Whatever. It just needed a beat of he can't be the only guy in the universe, and that's what those movies get wrong. There needs a group of Jedi to sell it.
I see what you mean.
That's a good point.
And then it seems like the only other way they react is to throw him away. They're well, if he can't be the only guy,
they're all Luke, or
just get rid of him.
Or we'll destroy this. And then they always have to go back, and then they look silly. Okay.
I love seeing Luke. I just wanted to get an idea that they're taking him to the academy, and you would bring your gang.
All right, I like it. Okay, so the new game we started, which is called But Make It Canadian, which is you got to take something and make it more Canadian. So you're a Canadian, a great Canadian, Mike, married to a Canadian, which means you have your own Canadian Skywalker. If you were to take the Mandalorian and make it Canadian, how would you make the Mandalorian Canadian, the show, or Boba Fett? I mean, or Obi-Wan Kenobi, whatever you want to do. How would you make those shows just more Canadian?
Well, I had thought of this answer. First of all, I get nervous about all the, like, as a Canadian, I'm constantly in every meeting when it comes up. I have to talk about maple syrup. I have to talk about sorry. I have to talk about all the things. What's that?
Mounties.
Mounties. It all has to come up. So I thought, immediately all I thought was how in Better Call Saul, my favorite character is Nacho. His name is Michael Mando, and he's Canadian.
Oh, so your pitch is put that guy in the show.
Yeah, just put him in it, just to give him a role. He's rad, he's great, he's scary.
That's amazing.
Perfect.
I was thinking we were watching Sound of Music with the kids last night, and I was just thinking, if you had to make a Canadian, you had to switch Ewan McGregor out. A young Christopher Plummer isn't a bad choice. That's all. I mean,
wait, fun for who?
Christopher Plummer.
To play Obi-Wan?
No, yeah, if you had to switch Obi-Wan out, Christopher Plummer.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And fun fact, at Lily's McGill graduation, Christopher Plummer was the speaker.
The keynote speaker.
All right, so
my mom's celebrity crush.
I just would imagine it not in the desert. It'd be like so cold. It's like -20. Everybody has to plug everything in. And it's like everybody's complaining about the cold. It's snowing, and it's just the same story, but it's not in the desert.
You mean in hot?
Freezing.
On hot.
Yeah, it takes place on hot.
Okay.
It's like in Alberta. It's so cold.
I like that it's the same movie but set in Alberta.
It's a dry cold instead of a dry heat. So all right, we're gonna kick off. Beck, did you have something to make a Canadian, or should we move to the next section?
Which show are we making Canadian?
Any of these shows that we're talking about.
I would switch out Grogu eating the little blue macarons for maybe like a Mae West or Joe Louis. That's a Canadian.
Joe Louis.
Wait, what if Grogu was baby Pokeroo? That's how you make
baby Pokeroo.
That's the Canadian deep cut, right?
That would be
that's very deep cut.
I still to this day, people tell me they think the other person was the Pokeroo, and I'm like, they had to have more than.
I picture like a body horror, like they have to tear their own skin off, and like the Pokeroo emerges. It's like a terrifying transformation sequence.
That's amazing.
I'm sure that exists somewhere.
As we kick off our shout outs and recs, Mike has a pitch for the Batman, which we did an episode of, but Mike, I do really want to hear what you think about the Batman and your general analysis of that as part of your.
Do we have time for it? I feel like I don't want to first of all, I don't want to steal anyone's joy, and I know a lot of people really like it. And
but here's the thing on this show,
there is
even
no
when we
joy here to steal, Mike. Please.
Enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, but
when
like
we joke about
in
shows
a measured
and things,
way.
it's out of love. No one's saying anything's objectively bad.
Okay.
We're giving our take. It's
and we've given our positive take on it, so you can go ahead.
Movies that have made so much money that I don't think.
You can't really hurt them.
Yeah, like
okay,
and I liked the Batman movie, and it doesn't mean there aren't things wrong with it.
No, I agree, and I on the surface I loved it. The casting, immaculate. I thought I was going to hate Alfred. He was like one of my favorite Alfreds, maybe my favorite Alfred.
Oh, cool!
I loved what's his name?
Pattinson.
Pattinson, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
The set design was amazing. I liked all of the casting.
Pattinson.
Jeffrey Wright. Easily my favorite.
Jeffrey Wright was great.
He's my favorite.
I agree. I agree.
Like to the point where I'm still mad about No Time to Die for like how they dispatched Felix, but like
agreed.
So the movie, right? It had the problem I have often with comic books is that it got everything right except there was no reason for it to exist because it didn't tell anything new about the character, and it got fundamentally a bunch of things I think really wrong, which is it's not two things. It's not a twist that Gotham is corrupt. It would be a twist if Gotham wasn't corrupt. So like when they're like all the
Waynes or whatever,
they're all in it.
Court of Owls.
They're all corrupt.
Yeah.
It's like that. You didn't. Why are you Batman then? That's sort of like established. So that's a big issue with the movie. It's like there's no drama there. Then I was in until the third act when I was like, okay, this definitely is about how because he's not Bruce Wayne, that's what you've been telling us this whole time, you've definitely set up that there's a foundation that is being used to destroy the city, right? He's using the Wayne Trust Fund to wreck the city. Mm-hmm. So the third act is definitely about how he is doing more harm than good as Batman instead of Bruce Wayne.
Right. He needs to become Bruce Wayne.
He needs to become Bruce Wayne. So that should have been the third act of the movie, that he realizes that he's doing more damage as Batman.
Because he's fighting being Bruce Wayne the whole time.
Right.
Fine, but that's why the movie thematically hit a ceiling for me. Because, fine, he needs to be vengeance. Because that whole third act and the Riddler guys came out of nowhere, and it just didn't play. And then the other thing was, I really liked the Riddler. I loved that part was going, Bruce Wayne. I was like, this movie's amazing. And then everything after that scene I didn't really like anymore, because I was like,
the water and the stadium.
What are we doing here? I thought they were really going to make... Here's an example of why the movie feels amazing and it's a bit shallow. That last scene where they capture the Riddler, right? It's really cool. He's looking, sees Batman out the window. He smiles at him. Then the camera does this amazing dolly along the counter and goes up over his coffee, and there's a question mark in the coffee. What does that tell you? Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
The barista.
It's a cool shot. Yeah,
barista knows his clients. So
if that was a movie about capturing Riddlers and they're not getting him, and then that's how you find out it's the Riddler,
it was him. Yeah.
It was. Then it's great. But that whole movie was okay. Perfect example too. They find out the main guy's corrupt. He's down in that secret club. He comes out the front. They don't even show Batman leave. He doesn't chase Catwoman. They show the Riddler attack that guy that Bruce Wayne just found out is leading the bad guys. He just lets him get caught by the Riddler. If he kept an eye on that guy, movie's over. Why did he let that guy get in his car?
Yeah, I got to tell you, that was one where the aesthetics and Batman being a detective distracted me so much from the plot, because the plot of a Batman movie are so rooted in the existing lore. Right, a lot of this movie was the plot of the Gotham TV show, just with Batman a little bit older,
sure,
Falcone and all that stuff. So, I also really liked what's his name playing Robert De Niro as Colin Farrell playing Robert De Niro as...
I loved him.
As Joe Pesci.
That was amazing. As Joe Pesci. That was amazing.
But then the other part in it, when they get... Remember when they're going after the drug lab, and the car... They're all fighting outside. Batman falls down, and then you hear his car. Why did he get in the car? And then he chases the Riddler. He's chasing the Penguin for no reason. That movie had a lot of these sequences.
Yeah, that chase scene made no sense. We talked a lot about that.
But if she'd taken the money and the Penguin chased her, and then Batman's like, "Oh fuck," and gets in his screaming awesome car.
I don't remember any of this. This
guy just remembers the car jumping through the flames.
I jarred the car jumping through. Also,
they showed. They literally had a shot of the ramp truck unfolding. I was like, okay, I'm out.
I did really love Batman though, in the wingsuit, in the squirrel suit or whatever.
That was a great scene.
And wiping out.
That was great.
And his gadgets aren't up to par yet, and he's figuring
I love so much of it. I don't want to make it sound like it's a bad movie. I just thematically it fell short for me. It was
we love to hear that stuff. There's room for
you can only literally you should make your living just being a consultant.
just be reading.
I mean, Mike
scripts.
does make films, so
right. I'm just saying, people. Yeah, but you could literally just sit on your couch and be like, guys, I'll just fix it. Just send it.
It doesn't. I humbly will say it doesn't work like that. As in it's really.
I wish it did, because you're so right.
It doesn't mean that these are fixes and people disagree with me. I just mean the problem is I think sometimes people go, it doesn't matter, and that's where I think a lot of these things fall apart. Because I'm amazed at how often I hear people go, it doesn't matter. I'm like,
well, that's what clearly that's what they think. Yeah. No one's gonna that doesn't matter. People aren't gonna.
They're there's a bat, there's a cat, whatever. Okay. What are your other shout outs and recommendations these days? What are you watching these days, or what are you interested in these days?
Well, I'm obsessed with Barry, but I'm really interested to say that or hear that Lily said it's too dark, which I don't.
Becky said it was too dark.
Oh, Becky. Sorry.
I just need all of Barry to be out, and then I will watch the whole thing in one day, because Barry's not a show I can watch in pieces.
That makes sense.
Watch Barry in a day. I need a day where I can focus, and I knock the whole thing out.
Yeah, you should. It's short too.
Yeah.
And then the other one is Better Call Saul, which I thought this season, being the last season, was a little bummed that it was kind of going so slow, but then it kicked right back into gear. Can you hear? Is my wife in the kitchen? Can you hear her talking?
I mean,
it's okay.
I mean, we can, but
most people would just think it's Lily or Becky's house, so don't worry. No one's like, oh,
I just don't know what
that was
very true.
That no one was like, oh, that was actor Brie Williamson getting lunch ready.
And then I'm going to see Top Gun in like 20 minutes.
Oh,
amazing.
So you've had much to say over Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible films. What's your,
oh my God.
How do you feel about going to see Maverick?
Tom Cruise anxiety.
Did I say that? Did you see that? I wrote that in. I have Tom Cruise's end of career anxiety. Like I don't want to live in a world where there's not a Mission Impossible movie being shot. Because that's how it's been for like 15 years.
This is the most highly rated film he's had, except Fallout, whatever Mission Impossible.
Sure,
Fallout.
yeah.
This is so highly rated. I don't like. I every time I think I understand maybe how the film industry works.
Yeah.
Then there's something like Top Gun being revered at Cannes, and like at that point, I'm like, what is happening in the film industry? Or like, how much does he know about, like, who does he know and how much is he paying to be schlepping around with the Queen or the Prince William and Kate at the Top Gun premiere in France at one of the most prestigious film festivals? And I'm just like, wow, man, he really is bringing it to this movie.
You mean like, why is the movie good, or like, does he know shit about the lizard people?
No, just like, isn't this like Top Gun is a fun action movie? What is he doing there? What it just these worlds colliding.
Well, I think like anytime a movie like that's my Tom Cruise anxiety is like, who else can fill the void of like the guy who's willing to learn how to fly the plane and do essentially like I heard someone refer to it as like a snuff film. We're all watching a future snuff film. Right? Like, literally, it's like he's going, here's how it's going to go. You're going to hear a news report one day, and the plane went into a mountain. Like, that's the only way this ends, unless he decides he retires. And the retiring part is also creating anxiety, because I want to see more, and they're not going to, who's it going to be? I watched Jackie Chan retire. It hurt.
It's just too much for you. I don't know. He's in France getting like awards and shit. He seems like he's gonna be.
It's good for now. We've got
I've been watching Jackie Chan movies with the kids, and they don't want to see the ones where he already isn't doing his stunts. Like they don't want to see, because the even the ones where he broke out in the United States, he's already pretty old there. But they are so gripped by the fact that he does his own stunts. All right.
Yeah, I don't want to see the Mission Impossible where Tom Cruise isn't just pinning it down the street, you know?
I feel like he's gonna do this forever.
But that's the anxiety is like
I don't think he has a choice though. Like he has to do this
to pay for Scientology.
But he's saying that's the last Mission Impossible and 2 more.
There's 2, but that's okay. I mean, how many more Mission Impossibles do you?
Forever.
He can't forever. Look at him.
And every Mission Impossible movie gets better. Keep going.
I don't know, but like, did we need another Top Gun?
Gonna end up in space. It's just a matter of time.
But I can't wait to hear. Like, it was worth it to have another Top Gun to hear your review. So we're all gonna have to meet up again.
I honestly, the first Top Gun is like not a good movie. We just have to be honest. It's clunky and weird. The pacing's all over the place, but it's such an experience that it's really fun to watch. Like I've seen it 1,000 times.
Right.
Like
the pacing is
Point Break is a real movie, right? Like Point Break is the heat of stupid Tony Scott style action movies. Like I will say, like Catherine Bigelow is our best Tony Scott, and like that's where like Top Gun just has to be the Tom Cruise flying the plane, and I'm in. Like I don't care what else. Like the sequence.
I think most people feel that way. Tom Cruise flying a plane, I'm in. Like everyone's on that bandwagon. Agreed.
Yeah. So in a sense,
that's what they're banking on. They're like, Tom Cruise flying a plane, the audiences are in.
The helicopter sequence from when Tom Cruise jumps onto the like package of the helicopter at the end of Fallout until they crash, I was like, I can't believe what's going in my eye for like 15 minutes. every shot.
Yeah, that's insane. That is insane.
It's insane how they put that together.
I think I'm turning into mom. I'm like, I remember like
you don't remember
Henry
the
Cavill
ending
loading up his arms
holding on
and driving a helicopter into the
wild.
wall.
The whole time, you're like, did he really do that? How could he really do that? How did they let him do that? Oh my God, he has to make these movies. He falls. Yeah,
I guess he falls and falls.
When what's his name? When he gets sprayed with oil. Remember that when Henry Cavill gets sprayed with oil from the thing? Like there's for no reason. Like they're fighting. I
remember Henry Cavill's like the Terminator in that movie. He's just he's coming. Okay,
that movie is a good recipe. Yeah. Tom Cruise stunts Henry Cavill.
Lily, what are you watching?
I watched the first episode of Stranger Things from the last season. We should also meet back up to talk about that show. Which literally, thank God this isn't something from the 80s that then they're really bringing back that we can all talk about. So we're not affected as the fact that this show makes no sense. And no one is concerned about the rules of the Upside Down and the Demogorgons and the this and the that, because it makes no sense. It's just fun and nostalgic because I'm so glad I don't have to worry about oh my God, what have they done with the plot? It makes no sense. And that's great. And then Working Moms, which is very Canadian. I'm just saying it again. I love that show, and Catherine Reitman's a genius. And it's not easy to make a show 5 or 6 seasons in and still have it be funny and good. So that's great. And then I really like the David Letterman, my guest doesn't need to introduce themselves interview show.
That's a good mom introduction.
That's a good mom.
That's you got a couple kids. This is how you remember titles of shows now.
Things absolutely. And I think I think he's great, and he's interviewing Ryan Reynolds, and of course is honing on the fact that his brother's a Mountie. He's like, as a Canadian, just fucking that's what you took away from this conversation, that his brother's a Mountie. Anyways,
I mean,
pretty cool.
Funny. I didn't know.
Mint Mobile commercials are genuinely funny. I just have to throw that out there.
Which commercials?
Mint Mobile commercials. Have you seen those?
Oh yeah. His Mint Mobile.
The one where he's got Robin Lively.
Very funny.
Ryan Reynolds is a national treasure from both nations.
Agreed.
All right, Becky, what are you watching?
Hacks season 2, which I am absolutely loving so far. Really liking season 2, which is so rare with a season 2 these days, but it's actually very, very good. I'm rewatching Last Kingdom because that show's still amazing. Started Flight Attendant season 2. I haven't hit a groove with it yet, but I'll pick it up. It's one of my solo shows I watch on my own.
I really love the show. I really love season 2.
But that's one of my solo shows.
And there's no guaranteed season 3. It could very well be the end. But I would watch it. I would watch that character and all those characters over and over. I love it.
I saw the series finale of Friday Night Dinner when I needed a pick me up last week, and I felt it was perfect. It warmed my heart. It was such a wonderful ending to that series. I highly recommend for people who watch. I mean, it's a very old show. You've either seen it or you haven't, and you probably haven't because it's obscure. And I actually haven't finished it yet, but I've been watching the Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers movie with my daughter in little half-hour increments.
Matt just started watching it. He just turned
it on.
And
we are both laughing our faces off for slightly different reasons, but we're both laughing our faces off. And we're enjoying it on multiple levels.
Dan Gregor, the husband of Rachel Bloom, who made Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, he also appears in the show a bunch of times. He's the one who wrote that movie, and I think the writing of that movie is the animation is funny,
pretty outstanding,
cool the way they do it, but it is so smart.
And Mike, as someone who works in the animation world, I think you will appreciate it on another level, because there's a few animation jokes that I caught, and I was like, Vlad, isn't that an animation term? And so I think as animators, there's probably more jokes than what us regular folks.
I saw the trailer had it was the CGI surgery and stuff
it's pretty fun. It's pretty fantastic. I'm excited to that we're watching this together. It's great.
Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna make Mac wait for me.
So we talk about the term showendipity. The world, which is, a show comes around at the right time. The world is in a hard place right now. The United States is in a really hard place. It's a really, really grim moments for this country. And the other night, my friend Kristen Farnham was over and recommended that we watch the American Rescue Dog Show for the same reason that, and this show was just pure joy. It was this goofy competition of rescue dogs on things that are unremarkable, like best underbite, best snoring, best belly rubs.
That's
It's
so
just
cute.
an hour and a half of things being cute. The stakes were incredibly low, but also high. That was on ABC and it's on Hulu. And wow, that was just a joyful. Rob Riggle as a commentator
Is it like
was really fun.
derpy dogs? Like, is it kind of like, is that what it is? It's like the cutest, weirdest, like.
Yeah,
dogs.
it's kind of like Best in Show or American Idol, but the dogs are but it's also a big advertisement for caring for animals and rescue shelters and adopting dogs. So it was a really it's just pure sweetness. And like the producers who made that, they make a bunch of reality shows, but I was like, these people are geniuses. Like they made something.
Their tongues hanging out. This is hilarious.
They made something so wholesome and family appropriate, unironic. Like there's meta jokes in it, but it is unironically lovable, and that was great. We saw the Bob's Burgers movies with the kids, which they thought was a masterpiece, which I really liked. If you like Bob's Burgers, you'll like the movie. I think it's a much better movie than the Simpsons movie is. Like Bob's Burgers movie to Bob's Burgers is a better movie than the Simpsons movie. They keep it very focused on the main characters. It runs like a really, really good episode of the show. Amazing. Started watching Sound of Music with the kids. Lincoln Lawyer, I'm really digging Lincoln Lawyer. It's like it's not as gritty as Bosch, but it's charming. And Neve Campbell, also a Canadian, right? Isn't she Canadian?
Yeah, that's true. I think
it's really nice to see. I feel like I haven't seen her in anything since the Scream movies, and it's nice to see her all the time and not like just running from someone with a knife. Like she is an intelligent lawyer in this show, and I like her.
She was in Mad Men, wasn't she? I feel like that's the last time.
But I didn't watch Mad Men. So okay, Mike, where can people follow you?
At the Mike Roberts on Twitter and Instagram. That's kind of it. I'm not really on Twitter that much.
But but your Instagram's cool. It's cool animation.
Yeah, but now I'm busy. Like I never touch it anymore. It's like you can tell how much downtime I've got.
Well, that's good though, because that means big things are coming. Lily, where can people follow you?
On Twitter, Chichi K Gomez on Twitter, but there's not much to follow, and it's not because I'm making big fancy things in Hollywood.
And Becky,
don't have a good excuse.
At Paper BK Princess on Twitter.
And you can follow me at Pancake 4 Table, Pancake 4 Table on Twitter and Instagram, and all the Friday Night Movie shenanigans at Friday Night Movie. A huge thank you to our guest, one of the all-time greats,
thank you
Mike
so much.
Roberts, coming back. And the theme song is by What Does It Eat? And it's good to see you all. Bye-bye.